Welcome to Anti-Aging Insights, where age is a state of mind and aging is a treatable condition. And now, here is your host, Dr. Teri Fisher.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Anti-Aging Insights. I have an incredible guest for all of you today, and I'm super excited to be speaking with Amy Lynn, or Amy Birkenstamm. We'll get into all of that. We've got a couple different name options here, Amy, but Amy is incredible. And I have to admit, when I was excited about knowing that I was going to be able to interview Amy, I went and I looked up some of her bio, and her bio goes on forever. But I'm going to tell you just a couple of little highlights, and then we're going to hear from Amy. She is a registered nurse. She's a certified aesthetic nurse specialist, which is the highest degree of professional competence that you can get in aesthetic nursing. She's recognized as a national gain trainer and a key leading mentor for Galderma. And in just her first year of doing the aesthetics, she reached Galderma's top 100 injectors in the country. That's just a little taste of what Amy is doing. So Amy, with that being said, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teri, for having me on today. I'm so excited to finally meet you. It's a true honor, and I can't wait to get into all the things today.
Perfect. All right, now right off the bat, we're going to tackle the name because we gotta come up with a definitive answer for this. When I was chatting with you before we went live here, some people know you as Amy Lynn, some people know you as Amy Birkenstamm, and some people know you as Amy Birks. Which is it?
You know what? I think that's an excellent question, Teri, because at this moment, you can call me whatever you want. So long and short, I'm usually known as Amy or the AMY if we want to, spell out my name.
Love it.
So I was married prior for a very long time. I'm divorced now as of 4 years, and I decided it's time to kind of switch it up. So as I was transitioning back to my maiden name, which is Plantier, I'm like, I don't really feel like that person anymore, right? So if we're going to go a little deep into it. So I'm like, let me just drop the last names for now and go with Amy Lynn. Well, it caused this uproar of confusion in the industry. And I thought, if I don't change it now, I'm going to get in so deep that I'm just going to be, attached to Birkenstamm. It's a very long name. It's really aggravating to spell. And my 5 children are all, they have this last name. It's always on those standardized tests, adding on those extra blocks and. So I'm like, let's simplify this and make it very, very simple. So I'm like, let's go with Amy Lynn. Now people are calling me Amy Burke. So I think we should actually take a poll. What name
There you go.
resonates the most with the audience? I'm willing to listen because I just, I could be like Madonna and just be like Amy.
I like that best.
So we'll decide professionally what I should be.
Tell everybody your Instagram handle right now so that if they want to go and tell you which it should be, they can know where to do it.
Sure. It's Amy Birks. So BIRKSRN. So
okay,
that's
perfect.
So that's, and like I was telling you earlier, had I known how important your Instagram handle is as far as your identification back then, I might have changed it up, which I actually did for 12 hours. And I realized I was erased from the Instagram world. I'm like, I can't change my handle. This is naming a child. I can't switch it. So yeah, so that's my handle, Amy Birks RN. And then my business is Glo Derma, GLODERMA. And I also have my Glo Academy, which is my educational platform.
Amazing. Okay. Well, so that just leads in really nicely into what we want to talk about.
Sure.
The first thing I'd love to hear, though, is just a little bit about your story of how you got into this aesthetics. I understand you're a mother of 5. I don't know how you have the time to do all of this, which is incredible. So kudos to you. But tell us a little bit about the background, how you got into all this.
Sure. So I started off my nursing career in ER trauma. So I did that for about 11 years or so. It worked great at the time. I had 5 kids within 6 years time. So,
wow.
My motto is when I go in, I go all in. So that's kind of what everyone's seeing now as a reflection. If I'm in, I'm 100% in. And when I'm out, I'm 100% out. So I did that, and it worked out great because I was able to be home with my family during the week and be present for them. And then I would go to the weekends and I would run around in the ER, and I was able to maintain a career as well as being a mother at that time. And it worked out great. And, as we evolve as humans, I mean, if you would have told me 10 years ago, I'd be sitting here talking about my story about how I got into aesthetics. I would have said, wow, that sounds pretty cool. It was not even on the radar.
Right.
But, long and short, I ended up getting Botox for the first time, and a nurse did it. And I really loved the entire experience. And at that time, I was in a really kind of a crossroad in my personal life. I had 5 little babies. We were hitting a lot of financial issues, a lot of things were being disclosed to me. And I know people can judge, but I got my Botox for the first time. So, mortgage was like borderline being able to pay, but I'm like, I just wanted to feel better. Right. So, so I splurged and I went and I got Botox. And not only did I love the results, I also loved how it made me feel, especially at a time that was like really somewhat confusing and conflicting in my personal relationship with my ex-husband. Just a lot of things were happening, and I fell in love with actually the emotion behind that experience, and the fact that a nurse did it. I was like, I wonder what I need to do in order to do these things. And we're going back, that was like 2000, maybe like 13, 14, 2014, I guess. And there weren't a ton of resources or a playbook, and still really isn't a playbook, to how does somebody actually do that. So I started doing my own homework. I didn't know if I needed to go back to school. I didn't know if there was like a certain program that was specific to medical aesthetics. And so I found, like most of us have done, a random course which was great actually. And at the same time, I befriended a physician at the gym that I went to, and she was running a medical spa. And I was kind of like the Pied Piper. And again, when I love something, and I want to share it with every single person that comes in contact with. So I was like kind of like the Pied Piper of like bringing people into their medical spa at the gym. So I had a conversation with her, and I was like, I want to take this course, but I need a physician as a medical director. I knew they couldn't necessarily afford to have me in their physical space, but at that time, concierge was like hot. Like concierge was like hot, and that was like very faux pas. Like, who does that? And now it's like hot again. Well, at that point, it was still somewhat new, and I'm like, well, okay, let's do this. So I went to my course. I just became obsessed with the whole experience. I started to realize that like the way that this type of practice is so much more just about beauty on the outside. It's about the beauty on the inside as well. And from my own personal experience and going through different hardships and kind of a confusing time, something so simple as I remember like telling this nurse, I want 8 units of Botox. I had no idea what the heck I was talking about. She's like, 8 units? Like, what are we doing? And I laugh about it because I just didn't know anything about it. Wasn't even that popular or booming at the time. And I just know that like something about the experience, the way she made me feel, the way I looked at myself, the reflection back helped give me a little bit of that confidence boost, which piloted me into a whole different direction of my life. So I had to be a little scrappy with finding the resources because we didn't have all these awesome mentorship programs and educational platforms and training programs. I had to kind of just figure it out on my own. So yeah, so I just hustled, and it was like 7 nights a week, networking, getting my name out there, getting my hands-on experience, looking for anything I could find online or any connections. And that business grew fairly quick. And within a couple months, my kids were little. I was kicking them out of the house and like basically so I could like have like see my patients and clients, whatever you want to say, and running around. It became a little bit disruptive. So I had a conversation with the business partner, and I never wanted it to be about the money. And it was just kind of like, okay, what can we do to negotiate here? And he said, that's the best you're ever going to get is here. And that's one thing you don't say to me. So at that point, I was still like a baby in this industry. So I got offered a position at a local medical spa. I was a independent contractor there, and I grew their business significantly in a very short time. And then about a little after a year after that, I was like, I'm running this business like it's my own. It's time for me to take the leap. And everyone asked, like, were you scared? I wasn't scared at all. There was never any hesitation. It was kind of like, every single piece of that puzzle was actually intentional, I think, on my path in this career. And the fact that I had to kind of find my own resources and really like put the grit in and really network and get my name out there and do all the work. When I opened up Glo Derma in 2016, I already had a pretty decent book of people that were seeing me. So it wasn't like this anxiety driven type of thing. And it just, from there, it just took off. And I'm just so grateful for all of the hardship, all the lessons, all of the different things that have occurred around this journey, because it really has led to such an amazing community that we're part of. And now I'm able to share my story with others and, you know, help be their mentor as well, especially for the ones that want to get in this industry, and for my patients, of course, and for my team.
That's incredible. What an inspiring story. That, yeah, I mean, just hearing that story, I didn't know all, a lot of the details of that story. So thanks for sharing that. And it's just so inspiring. So congrats to you. You're doing incredibly. I can see that from Instagram and all the stuff that you've got going on. So amazing.
Thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit about a topic that I haven't spoken about with anybody on this podcast yet. And I know it's something that you're very much involved in. You teach this, and that's the whole idea of Sculptra and other similar products. So can we maybe tackle that? And maybe we can talk about, first of all, for people that don't know what the whole idea of biostimulation is, maybe I can get you to explain that a little bit, and then get into some of those products and what we use them for.
Absolutely. So Sculptra specifically has been a product that even earlier on in my years of injecting, I fell in love with the science and the idea of that, like, rejuvenation of the skin and that restructuring of the collagen, the anti-aging approach from the inside out. You know, when we're talking skin specifically. And I love that whole idea of that natural global revolumization to really help as like the platform of the skin. So basically planting the seeds of your own collagen, or I should say the PLLA, polylactic acid, which is what Sculptra ultimately is, to rejuvenate your own collagen. So this isn't like collagen injections. It's different than a hyaluronic acid, which is a water molecule where we're adding in different hydration factors back into the skin, also a natural component of our skin. But the way Sculptra works, it's basically stimulates your body to produce its own collagen. It can filter out the old collagen that is stuck in our dermis, and it basically helps trick the body into this whole anti-aging approach. So even before, Sculptra's been around for a very long time. It was very popular, you know, it's actually been around, I think, gosh, I should know this. I have the slides memorized from, like, you know, all these Sculptra talks, but it was founded many, many years ago. And then it was like big for a minute, especially for lipoatrophy for HIV patients. So that kind of put it on the map even more significantly. And kind of funneling back into that, like, when you look in the mirror, it causes an emotion, which can help with other things that are maybe going on the inside. And being a part of this, being a Sculptra trainer and hearing these stories from some of these pioneers that were part of that original platform and actually engaging and taking care of these patients with HIV and AIDS who were having a lot of, you know, fat loss to their face, they were becoming very, very emotionally depressed. They knew they were sick and they knew they were unwell, but this progression of them looking at themselves in the mirror and feeling sick, because they even more sick because visually they were, was causing a lot of depression. And they started integrating Sculptra to the mix. So even though this was going on with them as far as health-wise, at least when they looked at themselves or other people saw them, they didn't appear to be sick looking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So where can you explain a little bit more? I mean, I'm sure to some of our listeners, some of the viewers, they may not know where this is even used. So can you use it in all parts of the face? Where would you typically be using it?
So it's great. So I love this product. Everyone gets it, especially in their 30s. So on label, it's for the face in certain areas. But I use it everywhere, including the butt. So I love it for the face, like that pan facial rejuvenation. So we're talking like deep temple hollowing, the preauricular jawline, nasolabial folds as well, medial cheek. Those are my favorite areas if we're talking face specifically. And what it does, it basically helps over a period of time. So it's progressive. So it's something that you don't see necessarily right away. But as it's starting to develop, people just come back and they're like, I don't know what's different, but I have this like glow to my skin. Because again,
Huh.
it's creating this collagen production again, which is again the sign of youth, the sign of, the dermis being like a little bit more like it's thicker and like just beautiful. So then when we put hyaluronic acids on top of it, it's kind of like that's like the highlighting piece of it. So it avoids that whole like overdone, overdeveloped, that pillow face that we're seeing all over Instagram and all over, with the celebrities. This is a
Hmm.
natural rejuvenation from the inside out. Other areas I love it are like décolleté, elbows, knees, the booty. It's great for cellulite, improvement because again, you're able to go in and kind of disrupt those bands, and then like rejuvenate that sculptra or rejuvenate the collagen, I should say. So it's great for so many areas, and I just find that sculpture now is getting this like respect that it deserves. My good friend and colleague Shino Bay, we're actually doing an amazing collaboration here at my office, Glo Derma, at Glo Academy. And he's also he's like the king of sculpture. I remember when Shino and I became friends, I'm like, you're the king of sculpture. I get it. Not everybody's jumping on the board yet, but I want to be the queen of sculpture. He's like, and one day you will. So we've become very
Love
good
it.
friends. I love his approach. He is a pioneer in this space. So we're collaborating this July here at my office. And it's going to be amazing. So we're integrating not only sculpture, we're doing hyperdiluted radiesse, all different areas of the body. We're doing PRP, platelet-rich plasma, PRF, easy gel, and we're really trying to focus on this multimodality approach for anti-aging and also for that whole regenerative medicine from the inside out.
Amazing. Amazing. So if you've piqued someone's interest now and they're like, maybe I should look into the sculpture thing. What does a treatment look like for the average client? Like what's involved in
Sure.
it for them?
So it's an injectable product. And again, it is progressive. So you leave, you're nice and full, but that's basically from the way that we have to prepare the product itself because it comes in like a powder form. So everyone leaves and they're nice and full and they're like, ooh, I'm like, don't get too used to this because in about 48 to 72 hours, everything goes back to baseline. I'm like, don't panic. The product is there. It's just the volume of bacteriostatic saline that we mix it with has been reabsorbed into the body, but the product itself stays. And it's basically planting like seeds of like this collagen production that's going to help rejuvenate itself. So I always tell people from treatment 1 to 2, you see on average about a 20 to 25% improvement from the first treatment, which is about 6 weeks apart. Generally speaking, this isn't necessarily for everybody, but this is kind of managing expectations. It's 1 vial of Sculptra per decade of your age. So somebody in their 30s, they may require 3, they might require 1 a year, depending on where they are. 40s,
Sure.
it really all depends on their lifestyle and where they are as far as the process in aesthetics and also genetics and all these other things. So it is a treatment series about 6 weeks apart.
Cool. Well, that's great. Now people have an idea. Are there any downsides to it, or are there any things that you would caution patients or clients about getting the treatment?
Just get it.
Just get it. I love it. I love it. That's amazing.
I say even like in like the late 20s, 30s, to get like ahead of it and do some of this prejuvenation, do like 1 a year on around your birthday. It's like your birthday sculpture maintenance. I should mention too that after you get your treatment series, that collagen continues to rejuvenate for up to 2 years plus. They stopped the studies at that 24-month mark because they wanted to get it out on label for aesthetic purposes. After that, because we're still losing about 1% of collagen every year that we are, every year that we age, you have to maintain with maybe 1 or 2 vials a year. Some people love it every 6 months, like just 1 vial. So you don't necessarily have to go back through that whole treatment regimen as far as like those subsequent treatments so close together. So once you kind of do all of that up front, then you're good for, 1 or 2 a year. It is a skin investment, I like to say. So by doing
Okay.
this,
Yeah.
most likely you're going to require a lot less of some of these other procedures to really give you the best natural rejuvenation.
Amazing. Okay. So there we have it. So if people want to learn more about Sculptra, I'm sure they can look you up as well. And you got tons of content on that as well. So fantastic. Thanks for sharing
You're
that.
welcome.
I want to respect your time, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk about all of the teaching and the training that you do as well for other injectors that are out there, because what you have created is just incredible. It's so impressive. So can you share a little bit about what you're doing as far as teaching goes? Before I did medical school, I did an education degree, so I'm very interested in teaching as
Oh, I
well.
love that.
And so I just love to give you a chance to talk about that, because I think education is just so important.
It is. And I think it's really important, especially in today's time with everyone, so many people wanting to get into it and feeling like lost. Now there's so many resources. So I find that when I'm doing training, sometimes people don't even know where to begin. And that's why this whole mentorship idea, even the way I developed this with my squad here, with my team of nurses, I take it so seriously because what I know now is so different than what I knew 8 years ago when I started doing this 8.5 years ago. So I'm like, wow, oh my goodness, there's so much that we can learn. And our industry is changing, as we know, rapidly because we're all still learning. So I think education in our space is imperative, and collaborating with other experts and having this community of aesthetic providers is key, because then we're all growing together as an industry. We're elevating our outcomes, also our safety practices, and making sure that we stick to the platform of us really wanting to help people in a different way, in a different light. So I take it very, very seriously, especially because of my own personal experiences and having that opportunity every day to see what happens with my patients and that whole patient journey, and seeing all of these amazing things happen. And again, not just on the outside, it goes hand in hand. So as far as education, last year, I bought my building, which is doubled in size, and I decided to go ahead and designate an area, which we're sitting in today, Glo Academy. So we have a studio here and also a full build out of different things that we can do in here, like collaborations. I do a coast to coast cadaver lab here once a year. Again, small group trainings, something that's intimate that people can feel a part of, that education doesn't stop just in that course. I'm big with that. It doesn't matter to me. I don't need to be the lead of a huge course like that with 90 people, because I won't be able to connect with each person in the room. So I like to do more intimate, non-intimidating. Come whatever level you are, I can tailor it to your needs, and we'll be able to really, cultivate that learning opportunity and experience for you, so that you feel like there's no question too small or too big that you can ask. And guess what? I don't know everything, and if I don't know it, I have amazing friends and colleagues that I can call on, and we can work together. So I'm big with that community aspect of it. I travel all over the world doing trainings. I've had some great opportunities to connect with some international leads that we just share our different experiences and our different education with one another, which is amazing, because then we're able to provide that to other people and to our teams and to our patients, and it just gives you this really nice global approach. So I like to do little tours. I train for Galderma, obviously. I speak on podium for them. We're a center of education here at Glo Academy, so we host larger different experiences for accounts that are in the whole tri-state area and beyond. And also we do international type of things as well. I just had Tom Van Eyck here yesterday. He's a great friend of mine. We did a training together. It's just been so amazing to now have a space here for education that I'm able to provide, just like it is with my patients at Glo Derma. So I found that education is my passion as well. And I just feel like we can all grow so much for it. So any resource I can provide for others and have this opportunity to be able to help them as a mentor is big, and it's very important to me.
Incredible. That's fantastic. What we didn't say right off the top, and I'm sure many people are wondering, is where are you located? And so can you just tell us a little bit where you're located? And maybe then we can start to wrap things up. But definitely I'd like you to share some of those resources and links and websites, and where can people go to
Sure,
learn more?
absolutely. So I'm located in a small town in Bucks County, which is actually somewhat booming right now, Yardley, Pennsylvania. So we are like a hub of Philadelphia. I'm about a little under an hour from New York City. I'm also not far from Delaware, New Jersey, Baltimore, even DC is within 2 hours. So we're in like this kind of like this hub between a lot of the larger cities, but in the suburbs. And but it's easy access to get to, very close to a lot of the major airports. So here we are, and a lot of people who work in the cities or want to have more of that suburban kind of feel, they migrate here so that they can also, they get the best of both worlds.
Amazing. Great. And so just to wrap things up then, can you share, like I say, some of those, where can people go to learn more? Whether you want to share like definitely share your Instagram handle, but also your websites for your academy, for your clinic.
Sure, absolutely. So you can find me at on Instagram at Amy Birks, so AMYBIRKSRN. Also online for our training academy, it's Glo Academy.com. And we're constantly updating different things there, and all the contact resources with Cheryl and Jody, who helped me with this platform and arranging different private group trainings. We can really customize all these things. Even like virtual mentorship is something that we just recently launched, which is great. And then my website for our business is gloderma.com.
Awesome. Well, Amy, thank you so much. I mean, we could literally sit here and talk for hours, I'm sure. But like I said, I'm going to respect your time. We're going to stop there. Just this little bit of time chatting with you. I mean, you are an absolute wealth of knowledge. I appreciate hearing your story. I appreciate you sharing us everything about your approach to things, the product of Sculptra and everything that you can do with that. Wow, Amy, thank you so much. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of the listeners. It's been an incredible conversation. So I hope we can do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for reaching out and connecting. I love this part of the business because it really does connect and align us with so many. And I really appreciate you asking me to come on your podcast today.
Wonderful, Amy. So with that said, everybody, thank you for tuning in this week. We have some other fantastic guests coming up. If you enjoy the podcast, then please feel free to share, like, review it, etc. And I will speak to you again very soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Anti-Aging Insights. Stay tuned to discover more of the latest news, treatments, technologies, and developments in non-surgical cosmetic and anti-aging medicine. For more inspiration, to access the show notes, or to book an appointment with Dr. Fisher, Dr. Frame, or any of the other anti-aging professionals, please visit our website at antiagingvancouver.com. Until next time, stay inspired and live life well.